Have you ever wondered, looking at the endless lines at Starbucks early in the morning, how much it actually costs to be on the other side of the counter? America literally runs on coffee. Every morning, millions of people across the country, from New York to small towns in the Midwest, start their day with a latte or a cold brew. At first glance, opening your own small independent coffee shop seems like the perfect embodiment of the American dream. You buy a beautiful espresso machine, find a cozy corner location, hire a couple of friendly baristas, and the money starts flowing like a river. But is it really that simple? Today, we are going to break down the entire process of opening a coffee shop in the US, down to the last cent. We won't take abstract numbers out of thin air. We will go step by step through the entire journey of a starting entrepreneur, from registering the company and getting all permits to renovation, purchasing equipment, hiring staff, and building a mandatory financial reserve. Right now, our virtual expense counter is set at $0. Let's launch it and find out the real amount you'll need to officially flip the sign on your door to open. Stage 1. Legal framework, registration, and licenses. Any business in the United States begins not with an espresso machine or choosing coffee beans. It starts with paperwork. And in the US, the regulatory system is designed so that you have to pay for every single paper, inspection, and license. The first step is creating a legal entity. For small businesses in America, the most common choice is an LLC, a limited liability company. Registering an LLC protects your personal assets in case of lawsuits or bankruptcy. The cost of registration depends on the state. While in Wyoming or New Mexico, it will cost only a couple $100. In California or New York, taking into account mandatory newspaper publications and annual fees, the amount can easily reach $800 to $1,000. Add to this the services of an attorney or a service like LegalZoom for drafting proper formation documents. Next, you will need an EIN, an employer identification number from the IRS. The number itself is free, but the process of setting up all local tax accounts, state sales tax permit, requires time and small administrative fees. But the most interesting part begins when we move to food service licenses. You will need General Business License, a basic license to operate a business in a specific city or county. Health Department Permit, a permit from the local Department of Health. This is one of the strictest stages. Inspectors will check everything, from water temperature in the sinks to the ventilation system and milk storage rules. Food handler permits food safety certificates for you and your employees. Signage permit, city permission to place a sign on the building's facade. Yes, in the US, you can't just hang your establishment's name on the street. The city must approve its size, lighting, and design. Let's not forget about insurance. In America, insurance is not an option. It's a necessity. You will need general liability insurance in case a customer slips on a wet floor or gets burned by hot coffee, and workers' compensation, insurance against workplace injuries for employees. Insurance companies usually require prepayment for several months in advance or for a whole year. Let's sum up the subtotal for the first stage. Registration of the LLC, legal assistance, all necessary licenses, health department permits, and initial insurance payments come to exactly $7,500. Stage 2. Finding location and leasing. Now that we have a legal entity, we need a physical location. In U.S. commercial real estate, the rules are drastically different from residential renting. A commercial lease is usually signed for a long term from 3 to 10 years. The landlord wants to be sure of your solvency. To sign the contract, you need to pay a security deposit, which is often equal to 2 to 3 months of rent, plus pay the first month's rent in advance. Imagine we found a great high-foot traffic location of about 1,200 square feet. On average in the U.S., renting such a space in a good area will cost between $35 and $60 per square foot per year. Let's take an average figure, $4,500 per month. Additionally, in the US, there is a concept called NNN, triple net lease. This is when the tenant, besides the base rent, pays property taxes, building insurance, and common area maintenance fees. This adds another $1,000 to $1,500 to your monthly payment. In total, the monthly payment for the premises is about $5,800. Upon signing the lease, the landlord will require deposits and advance payments. However, the main expense at this stage is the build-out, or customizing the space for a coffee shop. If you got a space where clothes were previously sold, you will have to build everything from scratch. Running heavy-duty commercial plumbing and drains for the espresso machine, ice maker, and sinks. Upgrading the electrical grid, as professional equipment requires high-voltage electrical upgrade. Installing a commercial grease trap according to city requirements. Ensuring full compliance with ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, standards ramps, walkway widths, and a specially equipped restroom for people with disabilities. Even with the most modest approach, the cost of renovation and utility upgrades for food service ranges from $50 to $100 per square foot. For our space, that is approximately $75,000. Adding the deposit and first month's rent, $17,400, plus the renovation itself, $75,000. Our counter makes an impressive jump up by $92,400. Current total expense amount, $99,900. Stage 3. Equipment, technology, and inventory. We've got the keys and finished the build-out. Now, the heart of our coffee shop needs to be filled with professional gear. In the specialty coffee industry, nobody skimps on hardware. Its reliability and temperature stability determine not only the taste of the drink, but also the speed of service during the morning rush hour. The centerpiece of any coffee shop is a commercial espresso machine. A premium 2-group or 3-group machine like La Marzocco, Cineso, or Slayer will cost between $12,000 and $22,000. It requires at least 2 professional grinders, one for the main espresso and a second one for decaf or single origin beans. That's another $3,000 to $5,000. But espresso is only part of the menu. We will also need a commercial batch brewer, $2,500. A commercial ice maker, $3,500. Refrigeration equipment, under-counter fridges for milk at the workstation, a reach-in refrigerator for storage, and a display case for pastries and sandwiches, $8,000 to $12,000. A professional water filtration and softening system. Without it, hard American tap water will ruin an expensive espresso machine in just a few months, $2,000. A high-temp commercial dishwasher, $4,500. A separate expense category is automation and the POS system. In the US, industry standards include solutions like Toast or Square. You'll need touchscreen terminals for cashiers, order-taking tablets, customer-facing displays, a cash drawer, and receipt printers. The hardware package, along with initial software setup, will cost about $2,500. Finally, small wares and branded consumables, milk pitchers, tampers, measuring spoons, cleaning supplies, plus an initial bulk order of custom-branded paper cups, lids, napkins, sleeves, and bags. Purchasing all equipment, technology systems, and initial inventory adds another $48,500 to our counter. The counter climbs rapidly. Our current total, $148,400. Stage 4. Initial inventory and marketing. The space is ready, and the equipment is installed and gleaming. We need to stock the shop with ingredients and make sure the whole neighborhood knows about us before our grand opening. Initial inventory purchasing includes freshly roasted coffee beans from a local roaster, purchased wholesale, $2,000. Various types of milk, whole, skim, almond, oat, soy, and alternative drinks, $8,000. Syrups, tea matcha, chai concentrate, loose leaf tea, chocolate, and powdered mixes, $1,500. Initial pastry selection from a local bakery, croissants, muffins, bagels, $1,000. Now, marketing. In the US, simply opening your doors isn't enough. Passers-by need a reason to walk into your shop. The pre-launch marketing budget includes exterior signage, illuminated main sign, and a sidewalk A-frame sign, $3,500. Digital presence, professional setup of profiles on Google Maps, Yelp, and Apple Maps. This is how Americans search for nearby coffee, along with targeted local ads on Meta, Instagram, $2,000. Print collateral and promotions, menu boards, flyers with free coffee coupons for neighboring offices and apartment complexes, $1,000. Buying ingredients, supplies, and running the initial ad campaign will cost us $11,000. Our counter crosses a new milestone. Total expenses so far, $159,400. Stage 5. Staffing, payroll taxes, and training. A coffee shop can't run without a team. To keep the doors open and operate smoothly from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., we'll need cashiers, baristas, and a shift supervisor. In the U.S., labor costs involve more than just hourly wages. As an employer, you must account for payroll taxes, Social Security, Medicare, FUTA, SUTA, which add about 10% to 15% on top of paid wages. Let's say to cover 2 shifts, we hire 4 baristas at a base rate of $16 per hour, an average rate across many states, and 1 manager at $22 per hour. Before serving the first real customer, the entire team must undergo training, practicing recipes, speed of service, and POS system standards. 2 weeks of team training prior to opening day, including payroll taxes, will cost $6,800. Our counter updates. Current balance, $166,200. Stage 6. Working capital and financial safety net. We've reached the point where most first-time entrepreneurs in the U.S. stumble. This is an expense category, overlooked by up to 80% of beginners' working capital. Small business statistics in America are brutal. A new coffee shop rarely turns a net profit in its very first month. To build a steady customer base, optimize purchasing, and reach the break-even point, it typically takes 3 to 6 months. During this time, you will still have to pay every single month for rent and utilities, gas, electric, trash removal, around $7,000 a month. Ongoing subscriptions and software, POS system, internet, commercial music licensing, accounting, around $500 a month. Employee payroll between $12,000 and $15,000 a month. Restocking coffee beans and milk, around $4,000 a month. If you don't have a cushion, the first slow month with unexpected issues like a broken refrigerator or a seasonal drop in sales will lead to a cash crunch and bankruptcy. The standard advice from American financial advisors in the food service industry is to keep a safety net of at least 3 months' worth of operating expenses in your bank account. We are setting aside a reserve fund of $45,000 for those first few months. Grand total, $211,200. Opening a medium-sized independent coffee shop in the United States will cost you approximately $210,000 to $215,000. Of course, this number can vary. If you decide to open a small coffee kiosk in a shopping mall or sign a lease for a second-generation restaurant space with existing plumbing and a grease trap, your startup costs could drop to $100,000 to $120,000. On the other hand, if you target a prime location in Manhattan, downtown Austin, or Los Angeles, the cost of build-out and rent alone can easily push the total bill to $350,000 to $500,000. Many people think Why deal with all this build-out and risk when I can just buy a ready-made Starbucks or Dunkin' franchise? Let's do the math. Buying a major franchise in the US isn't just expensive, it's extremely expensive. Starbucks, for instance, doesn't sell traditional franchises to individuals in the US at all. They only license to corporations operating in airports or hotels. Dunkin' or Tim Hortons require not only an initial fee of $40,000 to $90,000, but also proof of personal liquid assets between $250,000 and $500,000. Total investment for a single unit can easily exceed $1 million. Plus, you'll be obligated to pay royalties, usually 5% to 6% of gross sales, and an advertising fee of 2% to 3% for life. Yes, a franchise gives you an established brand and a line of customers from day one, but your personal profit per cup will be lower, and corporate control will be absolute. Building your own brand is risky, but all the profits remain yours. Major business risks in the US. And believe me, in the US, there is plenty to worry about. First, location and lease terms. A commercial lease in America is a serious commitment. If you pick the wrong spot and foot traffic fails to materialize, you are still legally obligated to pay $7,000 a month for the next 5 years. Going bankrupt in America due to lease obligations is a classic story. Second, labor laws and compliance. The U.S. labor market is strictly regulated. Minor infractions like improper workers' comp coverage or payroll calculation errors can trigger Department of Labor audits and fines steep enough to shut down your business overnight. Third, health inspections. The health department in the U.S. does not take shortcuts. If an inspector finds a violation in your grease trap or refrigeration temp, you will be shut down until it is resolved, costing you both revenue and reputation. As you can see, investing $211,200 isn't buying passive income, it's buying a demanding, high-risk job. Is it worth it? Managed correctly, with an average coffee cup margin of 70% to 80% and steady foot traffic, a U.S. coffee shop can net its owner between $60,000 and $150,000 in clean annual profit, fully paying back the initial investment in 2.5 to 4 years.